leaving home. We left Tucumcari at 2:36 a.m. as we begun our ascent. The visual beauty of the land was reduced to shadows. Maybe that was best. I was overwhelmed. And I don't know if it was the sleep deprivation I was enjoying, or the gallons of coffee I had been drinking, or the jars of caffeine pills I had been consuming since leaving the Kansas prairie, but I felt power. I wanted to call it home. But this is not your home. And I recognized this instantly. I realized I knew this even before we began our ascent. I recognized the spirits. They recognized me, but not as their own. And I kept my distance. A deal is made. I don't disrupt other people's homes, and they knew I had a purpose for being there, even if I didn't. But I know how to be a good guest, and they knew this too. It was foreign, but powerful. I wanted to call it home, but this is not your home. Yes, it is not. And this is a friend poem, so I simply called it Friend for Kent. Will we remember each other with a smile? Look back and giggle at something we said? Life is a series of moments, so what moments make up ours? Will we think on each other, knowing the strife both faced, and yet hearing each other when we needed it, making life just bearable enough? We don't take time to stop and appreciate the moment, but I believe that's not what we're supposed to do. Live life as we do, so we can have those moments to reflect on when we're not here for each other anymore. We smoked enough cigarettes and drank enough coffee to give a small nation cancer, but keep them awake through death. But our words, our thoughts, dreams, fears, our lives went into each puff, each sip. So there's more left over than just filthy ashtrays and dirty coffee cups. Such thoughts I have tonight as a sprinkle covers Albuquerque. No soy mexicana nuevo para Jimmy Santiago Baca. I find myself praying for your homeland, for Auslan. I regret walking up and down Central Avenue, looking for refuge, for substance, looking for anything. But that doesn't matter. There's nothing here for me. It's a hard lesson, taken hard, felt hard. I regret every time I wash the car or brush my teeth. The sand swirls around my head, finds entry through the pores, and before I leave here, it will grind my teeth to uselessness, and I'll have nothing left except the IHS dentist at SIPI. I've almost forgotten what's on the other side of that mountain. Almost. I want to begin my trek back east, back home, and leave my dreams, prayers of Aslan behind for you to care for. The words we say, the things we do. January 20th, 2009. I watched. The air was frigid as the sun warmed their smiling faces, the huddled masses, teeth chattering as the vapor seeped through the gaps like smoke imbued with prayers ascending toward heaven. I felt. The air was heavy with static energy, waiting to be unleashed, waiting to take on that daunting challenge of fulfilling promises, waiting for that spark that would ignite the collective breath in the frigid air, setting it all ablaze. It's no small task to set the air on fire, but we waited to see what power we thought we had. I listened. The air was crowded with sound, laughter, and stories. But we waited for only one sound, one utterance, uttered only when it might be the last good thing said. It was the sound that moved the huddled masses. It was the sound that drove me to pause life and wait. A sound whispered by those who have but one breath to give before the silence. A sound clamored by those who refused to have their last word be whispered, harnessing all the power contained in that word, defying the sun itself from setting, a power to not only destroy the world, but to recreate it. A delicate sound, hope. But hope is not a sound. Hope is action. A desperate action, to be sure, but action nonetheless. Taken to combat despair, the absence of hope. Taken as a means to power when power evades us. Taken when there's no damn good reason to take action. Perhaps if we meet here at the same time, say the same words, sing the same songs, tell the same stories, enact the same action with wrenching vigilance, we will eventually be able to stretch time, move mountains, destroy, create, embody change. I hope. Blood miracle. JB and I sat in a Denny's, drinking warm, bitter coffee, smoking stale cigarettes bought at a gas station next door. We had one of those conversations, you know, the kind that could have saved the world if only someone would have written down everything we said. JB tells a story. One night, outside of Joe's bar, that Indian who wanders up and down Central looking for a sedative, telling his beautiful Eskimo stories the old way, with drunken breath. You have to understand, the stories themselves exist in beauty, but are sometimes glazed over with sweet liquor. Well, anyway, he was stabbed in the gravel parking lot by someone who stopped listening to the stories, grew tired of paying for them with another pint or an extra cigarette. His blood dripped back to the ground, staining the gravel rocks on the way. And I guess that old Indian still had a little Eskimo magic left, because he disappeared in the desert heading north. The next morning, the alcohol had evaporated from the dry blood, and the red-stained rocks just sat around, telling each other stories.